so many new pieces to this IU football team.
To me, that's going to set the tone on how you get ready for games on Saturday in the fall.
I would put that Indiana room up against anybody else in the conference, and that's something that we typically don't even come close to saying.
If you want to get total sickos committee about it, there's a position battle at long snapper too.
This is the Hoosier Huddle Podcast, part of the College Huddle Podcast Network.
All right, welcome to the Hoosier Huddle Podcast. We are previewing the Indiana versus Indiana State game this week. The game is on Friday night at 6:30 at Memorial Stadium. Friday, not Saturday, and the game will be on Big Ten Network. But first, a word from our friends over at Heartwork Brewing.
At Heartwork Brewing, we are fiercely independent. From our variety of craft beers to our artisan Neapolitan-style pizzas, we put our heart into our work. We offer a full menu of draft beers, from our award-winning lagers to IPAs, sours, even our house-made seltzer. Our Northside Taproom has a variety of events and spaces for groups of all sizes. Heartwork is proud to be a locally and veteran-owned business here in Bloomington, just a stone's throw from Memorial Stadium and Assembly Hall at 1703 North College Avenue. Visit heartworkbrewing.com for hours and event info. At Heartwork Brewing, we are fiercely independent.
All right, that's from our friends over at Heartwork. If you are heading down to Bloomington for the game on Saturday, head over to Heartwork beforehand if you don't want to tailgate. But let's get to the show. We've got T.J. Inman, who joins us usually. May or may not have some audio issues there, so it's okay. And then Derek Harper, not the old Knicks point guard Derek Harper, but Derek Harper from the Terre Haute Star Tribune is here to talk Indiana State. They come into the game receiving votes in the FCS poll. Derek, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just getting set up here. But yeah, it's keeping busy. We're definitely launching into the game, and I did a story on the quarterback situation, but it's getting interesting.
We'll get to the quarterback situation here, but give us an overview of Indiana State. They come into this game 2-0. They had a nice win over Eastern Illinois, a team that beat Indiana State last year. Just what's the vibe over in Terre Haute?
I mean, it's really positive. The team decided. They acknowledge, obviously, the quarterback situation, but, I mean, this is a different team than last year. I mean, they're motivated. They're really upbeat. They took a little bit to get going in their first game, which was kind of concerning, in my opinion, especially against the middle-of-the-pack Division II team. But since then, they've really just kind of caught fire, and their offense is in fuego.
Tell us about the offense. It looks like Elijah Owens is going to be out for a little bit of time. He was their starter last year. I liked him a lot. He was the starter the first two games. Tell us what's going on there. Who's the backup, and how did he play against Eastern Illinois?
Honestly, he played really well. It was his second time starting. He actually started against Dayton last season and won. So Patterson is definitely a very reliable quarterback. Since Owens will be out indefinitely, they expect him back this season at some point. But yeah, it'll be Patterson. He's good, but the flaw I see with him is he takes a bit to sort of get going at times. But once he settles into that groove, he's good to go. So that's the issue I see here Friday night is can he get going immediately instead of having to kind of have a good play and then find his groove.
Keegan Patterson played last week, second half, 11 completions on 17 attempts, 111 yards, a long throw of 40, and then 2 touchdowns. Elijah Owens is kind of a dual threat guy. Is Keegan Patterson built in that same mold of he could run and throw?
I'd say so. I feel like if I had to, I don't know if guess is the right word. I feel like he's more of a thrower, but he can run the ball, but I would say Owens is definitely more of a rusher. I would say Patterson's more of a thrower in my opinion, but I mean, he can rush if he needs to.
All right, we'll hand it over to TJ. Anything to ask Derek?
Yeah, sticking with the passing game, which receivers is Patterson going to rely on? Is there anybody IU fans should be kind of paying attention to as a particular threat on offense from the receiver position?
Yeah, so receiver position, Rashad Rochelle, a Rutgers transfer that came in here last season. She's not your, how do I say this? She's not your like superstar, but he had a couple plays against Eastern the other day. I don't know why, but the first one really sticks to me. The Sycamores are kind of in a bad spot, and he threw like, I don't know how long the pass was, 40, somewhere between 20 to 40 yards, and it put him at the one, just in an incredible position when it looked like they were going to be punting soon. So Rashad Rochelle there, and then I think he also caught a touchdown pass as well. But on the running back side, that's the weapon. Rashad Rochelle's good, but I would say the running back side is what you got to watch for Indiana State, because Ples Lawrence is like, I liken him to Marshawn Lynch's prime against the Saints, because you're going to need at least two, maybe three guys to bring him down. I mean, Ples Lawrence has bulked up this season. I mean, he doesn't even have really a neck. I mean, it's just pure muscle from like here to here. I mean, it's been incredible to see him. I mean, Ples had like a 75-yard. It was a short pass and then a 75-yard play the other day that he scored on. So I think Ples is mainly the major weapon. But yeah, Ples and Rashad.
Ples Lawrence has 31 rushes this year, 143 yards and 3 touchdowns. They're ISU's leading rusher. Let's switch over to the defensive side of the ball. Indiana State comes in allowing 19 points a game, 206 yards on the ground, which Indiana is gaining 311 yards on the ground. Is this what the difference between what could make Indiana State a FCS playoff team and keep them at maybe 6-6 and a postseason hopeful is the defense?
Well, yeah, the defense is solid. Owens is, I think, a major key, so I'm worried about him being out. I'm hoping he's back for all the Dakota schools, because I don't know if you've seen our schedule out here. We have the Dakota schools back to back, unfortunately. But I would argue Owens is that. The defense has been much more solid this year. I don't think you'll see blowouts like you did last year. I had to watch and write about that South Dakota game last year, and that was a rough one. But I think the defense, especially Lucas McAllister and Braxton Sampson, they have been anchors this year. They've had between 5 to 19 combined tackles in the past game. So those guys are huge for ISU, and I think they will need to step up, because the thing that stands out to me, I also went to Youngstown last year to see him play. Last season, ISU dug these holes early, and it was every game it seemed like, and we're just going, what are we doing? And they almost dug out of them. The Eastern Illinois game I really liked, since that really showed that doesn't happen now. The defense was solid from the get-go, and it wasn't even like the Eastern Illinois game last season. I mean, so I'd say if the defense can play what they did against Eastern and maybe even a little better, I think they might give IU some trouble.
Indiana State's 0-20 against the Big Ten, and they lost last year. Was Purdue's only win. The philosophy Kurt Mallory has said is that he wants to play either IU or Purdue every other year, and it kind of gets lost in all this NIL and FBS stuff. How important are these games to Indiana State's athletic department?
Yeah, so that's the thing. They're getting $475,000 from IU. And so I think that's a big thing, because the facilities, how to say this, they're good. Basketball arena is the best, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Baseball press boxes could use some upgrading, but football, there's been talk about football either building a new stadium or majorly renovating this one. I mean, you can see cracks here and there and certain things, not anything big, but I definitely say that money is necessary. for the athletics because there are facilities that need work, especially the football stadium. I would say, the media area and facility itself is nice, but the stadium is the major issue that's been talked about before. There's been talk of them cutting the program, which I do not think will ever really happen. But I also do think the NIL and more so the changing landscapes. I was talking to a guy with the I forget what it's called, the pigskin or the prairie pigskin or something, cover Eastern Illinois. With the conferences possibly changing, there's been talk of could the old OVC get back together? Will Indiana State drop to that? So I think this more so than NIL. I think it really comes down to the changing landscape of college conferences because let's be real, the Dakota schools are going to leave soon for Mountain West, and they almost did last season. I actually have that on record. They almost left last season, but when Utah State went Pac-12, that money changed. So went to UNLV instead of the Dakota schools. But yeah, that money's huge, and it'll definitely help with the conference in the next few seasons, I think.
All right, Derek, we're going to ask you a few questions. Indiana State could shock the Hoosiers if they do this, and it's not score more points than them. So pick something else.
They got to use the air attack big time because, I think we all know IU's defense too, and Patterson, they don't have Owens. I think they got to go through the air to see success.
All right, Indiana State can't let this happen to them.
I think it's just a combined game on offense. They can't let the Hoosiers run crazy on them. I know and the passing. Kurt Mallory noted that you're not really going to slow them down. You just have to basically play your game and not let them get the big gains. You can't let them get those big scores, that sort of thing.
All right, and we'll get you out of here on this, Derek. What is your prediction for Friday night?
That's fun, isn't it? Right? Predictions are so fun.
This might be the first time in history we have an opponent pick Indiana to win. Maybe.
Yeah. IU 52, ISU 17.
That's actually a pretty good showing for Indiana State. I would think that the goal of it is to get some stuff on tape, get out of there healthy, and move on with the rest of your schedule and try and make a playoff run.
I think the big thing they're going to look for is to just not allow any big, wide open plays. I think that's one of the goals going in.
Yep. All right, Derek, tell our listeners where they can find your work so they can read up on the Sycamores, heading into Friday and then beyond.
Yeah, I post my stuff on my X, which is at Real Derek Harper. And if you want to subscribe to the paper, it is the Terre Haute Tribune Star.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Derek, and hopefully we'll see you down in Bloomington on Friday.
Yep, I'll be there.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate
it. Thanks, guys. Later.
Thank you. All right, TJ, that was Derek Harper of the Terre Haute Tribune Star. Sorry, I butchered it the first time with Star Tribune. Let's dive into this game a little bit from the Hoosiers' standpoint. IU's coming off of a large margin victory over Kennesaw State that kind of answered your questions on offense in the red zone. They went 7 for 7. They showed some new looks. They broke out the fullback dive. But there kind of are questions now in the big pass defense and things like that. And definitely right now, Lou Moore is not eligible to play on Friday night. We'll find out on tomorrow. But what did you take out of the Kennesaw State game that Indiana could use moving into Friday?
I thought it was a good performance overall. Kennesaw State has certainly improved on who they were in 2024, and I do think that the quarterback that they switched to, he's got a little juice to him. I think he can. Unfortunately for Dexter Williams, I think that he can provide them some success in Conference USA. Now, there are certainly limitations. There were a few passes that he should have completed because Indiana did not have guys assigned, didn't have good coverage on it. Now, I thought it was interesting. Curt Cignetti did address that, saying that the defense was not lined up quick enough.
Yep.
And he specifically pointed out the safeties as being the position group that needed to be in better alignment and needed to be lined up quicker and know their assignments quicker. That's very perhaps concerning, given that Amari Farrell is the only safety that we know can play Friday night. We don't know if Lewis Moore is going to be able to play. We don't know if Byron Baldwin is going to be able to play. We haven't seen him yet. So I think safety is certainly the biggest concern going forward. But I thought the offense was sharper. Certainly the red zone, that got cleaned up. The part that has carried over for each of the two games, it appears that IU has a really good three-headed rushing attack.
Yep.
I think you have to like what you have seen from the offensive line. They're getting really good push up front, and from all three running backs.
Yeah, and even the perimeter blocking on
good point.
I mean, I forgot who on Omar Cooper's run. I know it's not a running back, but I mean, you saw Riley Nowakowski was basically carrying a guy downfield, like 50 yards. Holden Stays buried a guy.
Yeah.
The perimeter blocking, which is so good last year, is continued over to that too. And it was good to see Omar run that 75 yards after, a little injury scare where he limped off the field
at the end of the half.
He should be okay after that run. But that running game, all three running backs look good. I think the wild card there is Roman Hemby's ball catching ability out of the backfield, and we saw it once on Saturday. They really haven't featured it, and probably saving that in the back pocket for Illinois. But on a little leak out, Mendoza found him as a 25-yard catch or a 25-yard catch and run. That's the difference between this running back room and last year's running back room is going to be in the pass game. And then you could throw Riley Nowakowski in there too in the running game, because he had that fullback dive for a touchdown, which was almost a triple option play and pretty sweet.
And Lee Beebe, how good does he look? I mean,
he looks really good.
He does.
Any of the three could be starters, and it's really hard to pick who's the best, because I think, BB could run over people. Tackling Kalon Black is a business decision for a lot of defenses, and especially he might be the best pass blocking of the three, because he absolutely destroys people. But you feel comfortable, with all three of them. And if you do feel uncomfortable with one of them, it might be because Lee Beebe fumbled on his first touch in the game. But they look great. Drops from the wide receivers is a little concerning, but I do think a lot of that is getting used to Mendoza's fastball and catch. He puts a ton of spin on it, and just to be able to haul it and take some getting used to. The catch by Elijah Surratt on his first touchdown, that might have been the best catch of the game. The ball was almost like it was thrown perfectly, except it was almost by him by the time it hit his hands. So that was good to see.
And that was a good connection. Those two, it was good to see that, because he was barely targeted against Old Dominion. Wasn't targeted at all in the first half of that game. So we expected, I think, a bit of a, force feeding the ball to, hey, I'm purple. How about that?
I just changed it. I don't know why I turned you purple, but we might have to deal with the purple TJ.
Yeah, force feeding the ball to Elijah Surratt. We kind of expected to see that, and those two had a really good connection with each other. 3 touchdowns for Surratt. That was good to see. Switching over to defense, I think what stood out was the tackles for loss, right? They were in the backfield consistently for Kennesaw State and really did a good job of, one, preventing those busted run assignments that we saw against Old Dominion, but 2, just consistent havoc in the opposing backfield. The concern you mentioned is one that we're going to have to see is just
we'll find out tomorrow.
The pass defense, a little off. There were just some open guys, and it wasn't easy to pinpoint it on. Okay, it was just this person. I thought Jamari Sharp had a bit of a rough one. He got beat a couple of times.
Redeemed himself at that strip, though.
Exactly.
That was like a Dumb and Dumber moment.
Yeah, totally redeem yourself. I thought the safeties, they show up and make plays, but also some misses at the back end of the defense.
Well, you had Amari Farrell fall down on one play, and they're probably misaligned on those 2 touchdown runs against ODU too. That guy was super fast, but your safety should be able to make a play to limit that to 20 or 25-yard run instead of 75 plus. But Anthony Chung got in against Kennesaw State. Maybe he's a guy you throw in there against Indiana State. But yeah, you'll know a little bit on Wednesday whether or not Lou Moore is going to be eligible the rest of the season. I don't have a gut feeling other than uneasiness because you are putting that decision into somebody else. And then we'll see on Friday night or late afternoon when the injury report comes out what happens with Byron Baldwin and if he's going to be back. So you're looking at – it's a nice living room, TJ. It's not purple, though.
It's not mine, but I figured it was distracting to people, so I put something up that's nice to look at instead of myself. Looking like Barney.
Yeah, I don't understand why it went purple, but the safeties. This is a game where you got to figure that out. Even if Lou Moore is able to play, you got to figure out safety depth for Illinois.
Right.
Just in case something happens. So I thought the tackles for loss, I thought Kellen Wyatt played a great game.
Yeah.
He was in the backfield all day. Mikel Kamara finally had his breakout game of the season. Aiden Fisher probably had the best tackle of the day on the quarterback. They were probably robbed of a defensive touchdown with a non.
Yeah, I didn't understand. So the ruling on that
was forward progress had stopped, but there were no whistles.
Yeah,
so you can't review a judgment call, but whatever. You could review nonsensical things like spotting the ball when it's clear as day that this thing is not going to be overturned.
What, 4 times during the game? That was
But yeah, let's get into IU will raise the victory flag if we'll go with you first, TJ.
Not to be flippant, but I mean, the answer is if IU shows up. But I think that what you'd like to see is continued success in the red zone, to put back-to-back good performances of executing in the red zone and just take care of the ball. An equalizer to make this game much closer than it should be would be to waste possessions with turnovers. I don't think that Indiana State's defense will be able to consistently stop IU's offense unless IU gives them the ball. That's an easy way to stop them is if you make mistakes putting the ball on the turf or throwing it to the other team. So I'll just say taking care of the ball, playing clean is a way to guarantee that this is the type of night you want it to be, which is a comfortable win that allows you to build depth.
Yeah, that's where I was going with it. It'd be regardless of the score on the scoreboard. IU needs to win this, play clean, win comfortably,
Yeah.
and empty your bench again. We saw the second team O-line in there. We saw some backups on defense. This is a game where you need to figure out who's coming in on safety, if somebody goes down against Illinois, or if something goes awry in the Lou Moore case. Get Alberto Mendoza some more throws. I mean, Sig addressed it too in terms of, hey, these units haven't played a lot of football together either. So maybe it's a starter stay in for 3 quarters and backups come in the fourth quarter. Do you see Grant Wilson come in and kind of maybe get the last drive or two? But it's you also have to figure out your punting game. Now, Quinn Warren has done an admirable job filling in, but you know, hopefully this is not a game that you have to punt in. But Mitch McCarthy and Quinn Warren just doesn't have the leg strength that McCarthy has, and then you got to figure out field goals. Like the whole field goal operation it's not like the snapper, holder, and kicker are bad. It's like where are we kicking from? Where are we comfortable kicking from? Who's the long kicker? Who they've said Brandon Frankie, who's been excellent on kickoffs. Like how much faith do you have in Nico Radicic? Like they might not have to kick a field goal, but if it's a game where you name your score, like see him kick a 50-yard field goal. I said that last year too, and it just never happened. So,
right.
All right. IU can't have this happen. For me, it's
injuries. Injuries.
That's an easy one, obvious one. I said, looking forward to Illinois. It is a primetime game. There's internet rumors going around that game day might pick IU, and I doubt it. I just don't. I just don't think ESPN comes to IU again right now. But it's the biggest. Everybody has circled this game for months on the calendar, and it's time for. You can't get caught looking ahead. Whether that's taking a quarter to get your head in the game, or fumbling or dropping a pass because you took your eye off the ball. It's hard to say that they'll have a letdown game ahead of a game, but it's going to be a small crowd on Friday with rivalry week in high school football, and it being a 6:30 game. It's tough. It is tough anywhere north of Indy to get down there on time. So I think TJ's getting invaded by the Purple People Eaters. So we'll check in. There you go. Now it's we're talking to a wall.
Goodness gracious.
It's like talking
all kinds of technical difficulties. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, TJ, you can't have this happen outside of injuries.
Outside of injuries, I do not want to see busted assignments on pass defense. You're talking about preparing for Luke Altmaier and a Illinois passing game that has been good so far this year. You can point out that Duke had 5 turnovers and Illinois was the better team. They deserved to win that game, and they're a legitimate, really good opponent. And Luke Altmaier is a veteran quarterback that will pick apart a defense if he's given time and if there's holes. He's good enough to do that and absolutely would. So I want to see cleaned up pass defense on Friday night. And I don't particularly see any receivers for Indiana State that you need to point out as, oh, that's a guy you got to stop. I think it's more about playing proper coverage and communicating properly, getting lined up properly. The issues that Kurt Cignetti pointed out have caused some of the defensive problems so far, which is making it sound like they've been bad. They have not. But it's just cleaning up those. Just cleaning up those little inconsistency issues. That's what I'd like to see. on Friday night to give you some more confidence heading into that Illinois game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's get to Hoosier Huddle Pick'em leaders. Oh man, we are full NFC West circa like 2006.
Yeah.
In the Hoosier Huddle Pick'em League, the best record with 11-9 is the Huddle Up team. The worst record at 5-5. I think Brian Tansoni forgot to make picks last week. But Trent Fryer at 7-13. So you're looking at a 4-game from first place to last place. You're looking at really a 4-game swing, 20 points. But man, there's 2 at 11-9 with Hudson Huddle and Huddle Up. Prestige Worldwide is 10-10. Hoosiers versus the SEC 9-11. There's a whole bunch of 9-11s, a whole bunch of 8-12s. Whoever wins this I don't know. Can we declare a winner with somebody with a losing record? Can they host a playoff game with a losing record if they win the division? So keep picking. I know picks are coming out soon this week as well. So it's been a lot of fun. I make jokes, but it is against the spread. This isn't like, oh, hey, we're just not good at picking winners. I did up the difficulty this year with adding the spread in. Talk about bets. What is your best bet for the game? I know a line usually doesn't come out for FCS games until the day of or about 24 hours ahead. Are there any best bets here, TJ?
Whatever Indiana's team total is, I would take the over.
Sounds
over
good.
Over Indiana's team total. I would guess that would be somewhere probably
50s.
around like 51.5, something like that. And I would take the over. I think IU will score when they want to. And you kind of hinted at it. I think the starters are going to play longer than you'd expect.
Yep. All right, predictions, TJ. I'll go first on this one. I think I'm going to go Indiana 63, Indiana State 10. I really do like this Indiana State team. Losing Elijah Owens, he's a good quarterback. Losing Elijah Owens kind of hurts them. I don't think that they would put Indiana on upset alert. But this is probably the best Indiana State team that's come in since 2013 when Shakir Bell went off for like 4 touchdowns or something.
Yeah.
So 63-10, Indiana wins comfortably. I do think the starters play a little bit more than expected just to get those reps, but you also have to build depth, and this is a good game to do it. I hope Indiana State gets out healthy and they could go through the rest of their schedule and hopefully make a playoff run. All right, TJ, your prediction.
I'm going to go IU wins this game 59-7. 59-7, Indiana.
59-7. That's a good score. All right, closing thoughts from you, TJ.
We've kind of, all off season pointed towards the first 3 weeks being, hey, it's important to build up and be 3-0 and be healthy heading into that massive game against Illinois and the first part of your Big Ten schedule. Friday's the last hurdle to do that. So far, so good. 2-0, pretty healthy, and hopefully we can say the same thing after this Friday night, and then start, the build up towards a massive Saturday night primetime red out game against Illinois.
Yeah, it's this is a game. If anybody's dinged up or needs a day, you probably hold them out. So if Byron Baldwin's still recovering, you probably hold him out. If Omar Cooper's knee is sore, you maybe limit him to a couple drives.
Right. Get Bond some more work.
Get Bond some more work. Get Mekhi Jackson involved because he hasn't been as involved as we thought he would be.
True.
Get Jonathan Brady involved. Charlie Becker's had his time on the field too. But yeah, to me, you're going to have to bring your own energy to this game too. It is a night game. I expect students to show up and be there, but I don't know if your regular Bloomington crowd will be there. Bloomington North's playing Bloomington South. It's rivalry week in high school football, and I've seen comments where people, hey, I usually go with my son or daughter, but they want to go to the high school football game and be with their friends, which is fine, great. And then it being 6:30, people getting off at work at 4 or 5. If you're going to take PTO to go watch a football game, I don't know if this is the one to do it. So I expect a small crowd, but you're going to need to bring your own energy and just get out of it healthy. And then you got an extra day to prepare for Illinois. You go watch Illinois, who they play, Western Michigan, on Saturday, and see what you're going to be up against. So it's a big game, and we'll have it all covered at HoosierHuddle.com. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, sign up for a membership as well. $30 gets you the year, $3 a month, and we'll have you covered. We'll ramp up our basketball coverage here in the next couple of weeks as well. And you can follow us on X at Hoosier_Huddle. All right, TJ, it's been nice talking to the brick wall today. Hopefully we don't have the tech issues next week and you don't turn into purple dinosaur. So for TJ behind the brick wall and myself, thanks for listening.